Okay, 7C right here is a little omega looking type sign or symbol, whatever this may be. This is a good one to definitely pay attention to. And what's in particularly important is the fact that there are two lines here, these being the extension lines of your dimensions. Distance point of 96, this is metric, 96 millimeters is the distance from this left edge to this right, shown there on the left of my little icon where the thumb is. That 96 goes to that right-sided extension line, which is to this point right here on the bottom of the object. This other extension line, why they brought it all the way down, well, the reason they brought it all the way down is they're implying that this whole thing is symmetrical, or at least this is the center line for the entire object. Again, for a later discussion on standards, drawing standards. So this extension, or this line here, is the center line for at least these circular features up here. So again, pay particular attention to this, and this video hopefully will shed a little bit of light if you are having some problems. Definitely some presumptions made. This is a good example where geometric construction is what is used to accomplish this drawing. Question is which route you have to go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to draw that bottom line 190 millimeters long. This is metric, so 190. Okay, now that is the bottom. Now I do know it's going to break somewhere here to the right of center, but I'm not going to worry about that point right, or that part right now. Now another thing I do know is that it is 24 millimeters tall in this case, up and down the height, or it's not really the overall object, it's the fact that this part here is 24 millimeters thick. So 24. This one comes over, that appears to be a rectangular base, and to there. Okay, so this is the base. Again, this is going to be modified, this line here definitely. This one will be also. But at this time, what do I know is true? How do I get this big circle up here, or this, either the outer one or inner one? I'm not going to draw it yet because I may accidentally think it's where it belongs, and then that'll mess me up. Think of it as a path. I started with this corner right here, and so I'm going to use dimensions that relate to it or to there. Besides the 190, there is also a 96. So in that case, I'm going to draw me another line. Now I'll use the shift right click from this endpoint, and it is a distance of 96 horizontally to the right to this point. Now there is not a line there. This is now the start of my line. And this line is going to come up this way. What else do I know is true? Well, I know that it is 60 degrees from this horizontal on the left above the left horizontal, 60 degrees. Well, per what I'm provided, I see that it is 120 being the supplement to it, supplementary angle. Okay. Now, the length I just drew randomly. It might come up farther. I don't know. But at this time, that is all I need. Also, from this point, there is another line, which is also 60 degrees. So it is parallel to this line. So I'm just going to copy it over a distance of 48. Okay. Now, starting to take shape a little bit. If you want, and honestly, I kind of recommend doing this, or at least I'm going to go ahead and trim. Using those as my trimming objects, I'm going to trim both of those lines. Now, this line won't go all the way over here, nor will this line come all the way, but I'll leave those for now. What else do I know is true next? Now, these lines, this one here is going to come up, and it's going to end up being tangent to a circle that is in here. How do I get that? Well, let me go ahead and just draw a circle. I'll just draw it out here, and the radius of that one is 42. I'm not going to draw that second one. This is the inner circle only. So I do know that somehow or another this circle is tangent to that line. Okay. Another thing I know is that the center point is a distance of 88 up from this line. So in that case, I'm going to go ahead and draw from here up 88. This is a construction line. I'll end up deleting it. And I'll draw over. Let's see, I'll just make sure it's the right, so that way it stays symmetrical. I'll draw it that long. And this one I'm going to change color to say, hey, that is a center line. And I'm going to put this circle on that line. Now, again, where is it? Well, there is only one other place, well, two other places. It could be here to where it's tangent. This line is tangent over here. That's not the case. So I know it needs to be over here somewhere where this line is tangent to there. Now, you notice I clicked on the midpoint. I'm not absolutely certain that that is correct. It might be. It might look really close. If that's the case, I could do an EX, extend to here, and click. Well, you notice it's saying no, can't do that. The reason for that is I said this is what I'm extending to. If this line is going to miss it to the left, then it's going to say, hey, this isn't going to work. Keep in mind, again, your drawing area, your graphics window is infinite in size. You don't want this to extend infinitely. Your computer will be frozen up forever until it gets there. So that tells me that this is off a little bit. Now I'm going to double click. I'm going to double check radius 42, and that is what it needs to be. So what's going on here? What I'm going to do, I'm going to move this back again so that we don't make an assumption that we don't want to make. Actually, I'll go ahead and draw it up here also. So here is where knowledge about tangents can come into play and can be very beneficial. The fact that I know this circle needs to be tangent to that line there on the left. And when it is, I know that, now I'm just going to pick somewhere, and this is, I'm going to show that it's off. I'm going to pretend that it's tangent there on the endpoint. If this is truly tangent, one thing I know is true is that the radius drawn to that point of tangency will be perpendicular to this line. Okay, so, and notice again, I'm just throwing that out there nice and quick. It's not accurate. I'm not intending for it to be. Let me move those back. I did undo, Control Z. So what I'm going to do is, if I know this line that is perpendicular, the radius is perpendicular to it. If this is 60 degrees up from the left horizontal, a line perpendicular to it, well, here we go. A line perpendicular at a distance, well, I'm not even going to do a distance. I'll just draw a large line, shift right click, perpendicular. Notice where it's going to select, right there. Now I can draw, let me move this first so you're following along, which I don't know that the tangent point is at that endpoint. I have no clue. So I'm just going to draw a circle from here, that intersection, a radius of, drawing that radius backwards, 42. This theoretically is where that line, that circle, needs to be centered. So if I move it from here to there, I now know, since this is the radius. Here, let me make sure you understand what's going on here. Here, I've selected both the circle and that line, and they are exactly the same point. Now here's where that line appears to be off. RE for regenerate there. Again, just conserving resources. Okay, so I do know that this circle is now tangent to that line. Okay, this line, the radius, and that circle were construction lines in order to get to it, geometric construction. Now, the one problem is this is now off of my height. This line here is where the center of this circle should be. So basically it just needs to move up. It needs to stretch upward at this same 60-degree angle up from the left horizontal until it intersects this line. So I'm going to draw a line from the center, and I'll just draw it here, tab 120, the supplement of 60. Now I'm going to move this circle from that center to that center. Let me erase this. I can see that this line no longer intersects here, but if I extend to this circle, there it is. Now, I can go ahead and trim this, but just to double check, let's get rid of this line. Okay, and let's draw a line, shift right click from tangent, from here down to this point. Now double check it. If I want to measure angle line to line, it shows that it is 60 degrees. Now I haven't gotten into being able to show this more accurately as far as exact 60 degrees. This is rounded, by the way, but at this time, trust me, I do know that that is a perfect 60 degrees. So at this time, this circle is correct. It is tangent to this line being 60, starting from this point, 96 units over, and the height, the location of this circle is on that red line, a height of 88 millimeters up from this line here. So at this time, we are good. Now, what do I know is next? I know there is another circle that is the same center as this one, and a radius of 66 units. I could have done the math. 66 minus 42 is 24, and I could have done an offset. By the way, these two lines, or the length of this line, is 24. There is that uniform thickness all the way across that I was talking about. Let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit. Let's trim. Okay, let's also trim this. Now again, I said this arc here, I haven't said, but this arc won't come all the way to the line. These, or this line here and this line here, will not come all the way to this line. Let's go ahead and do what? Well, I said a uniform thickness. Here is that 24. What I haven't done is a uniform thickness of this angular piece here and this angular piece here. So let's do that via an offset. This is a good example. To do a copy, exactly where, I'm not sure. I know it's 24. Well, 24 horizontally is not a thickness of 24. 24 vertical is not a thickness of 24. It has to be in a direction perpendicular to the line itself. So offset is really the best, quickest, almost the only option to use. And again, this one here. Okay. Now, again, just to clean things up so that you can see them a little bit better, let me trim some of the things, or some of the objects. Starting to take shape, yes? I hope so. I hope you see it. Now, I have a fillet here and a fillet here, both being radius 12. So F, I need to change the radius 12, and I go click, click, and click, click, and I believe I am good. Now, let me go ahead and show you, if I were to draw a line from the center of either of these, notice I do not come down on this corner. So again, the fact that there are two little extension lines, or an extension line next to a center line, that is important to see. You draw this thinking those are one line, or that this, the center of that circle, is over 96. It will be wrong. It's not going to work out. So, okay, this one is done.